Philadelphia Eagles player Carson Wentz is getting a lot of buzz online after fans notice, hey, you kind of look like the Duke of Sussex. Yeah.
Please sacked. And this one is over, recovered by Ratliff. Guess who? DeMarcus Ware. Lucky guess. He brought his A game with a bad neck. And that will end the undefeated quest for perfection.
Oh, that's ugly. That's ugly. DeJuan Gomes just put his shoulder pad right through the left knee of Adrian Peterson, and you can see he's in agony. Pressure from Thomas off the edge. Eli Manning stays on his feet. Airs it out down the field. It is caught by Tyree.
Help him get better grip. So far in this game, though, he's been frustrated by the Bears' defense, not the field.
I wish I knew which was longer, 3/8 or a half or 5/8. Here's Heller.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Sports Stories podcast. And this one I'm just going to be going over tier 4, I believe, of the NFL Iceberg. And the deeper I go, the continuous it, or the harder it is to find information that's actually like factual. Because a lot of these topics, they're pretty interesting, to say the least. So can't wait to get into it. So let's start right now. So the first theory on the iceberg is that Carson Wentz is Prince Harry. Now this one, everybody kind of knows ever since Carson Wentz kind of made his emergence onto the scene in the NFL. A lot of people have compared him to Prince Harry. And well, this one, I mean, there could be some factual information in this, because I mean Carson Wentz and Prince Harry are both redheads. White males, and they kind of look alike. The only difference is that Carson Wentz kind of has like shorter hair compared to Prince Harry, and I mean, nobody's ever seen them in the same room together, so there's also another theory of that. And Prince Harry could be like an amazing actor, and have like a family, and then like 2 different families, and there's a lot of cross paths that like don't make sense. But, for the sake of it, we'll just say that Carson Wentz is Prince Harry. And we'll just leave it at that. I mean, that one's kind of hard to really talk about, I guess. But, yeah, Carson Wentz looks like Prince Harry. So he is indeed Prince Harry. And this one kind of reminds me of the J. Cole, Keenan Allen, and Tobias Harris theory. That one was funny, that one. Because J. Cole did look like a lot of people. That's interesting. I will put a picture of both of those look-alike things on screen if you're watching on YouTube, and then if you're watching or if you're listening on any podcast platforms, I'm sure you can probably just look it up. They all look alike. It's interesting that there's so many famous lookalikes, but yeah, for the sake of it, we'll just say that Carson Wentz is Prince Harry. And the next topic on the iceberg is that all undefeated seasons have been sabotaged by the 1972 Dolphins. Now, the Dolphins, in 1972 were the only, or I guess so far in the NFL history, are the only NFL team to be undefeated. While there have been other undefeated teams in NFL history, the Dolphins were able to win all the games in the entire regular season, which I believe at that time was only 11 games. I'm not too sure about that one. And then on top of that, they won all the playoff games and then ended up winning the Super Bowl. And that's why Don Shula is such a, captivating name in the coaching world, is because he's the only coach that's ever led his team to an all undefeated season. Now, the closest undefeated season, I believe, was the 2007 Patriots, who won all the regular season games and then ended up losing the Super Bowl to the Giants, which was pretty interesting. That's when the Patriots had Randy Moss, Tom Brady. I mean, that dynasty was basically just starting when that happened. So, yeah, I believe like it was Tom Brady's 6th year in the league and his 5th year starting. So, yeah, I mean, there have been a lot of undefeated teams, but this one being sabotaged by the 1972 Dolphins team is going to be interesting. I mean, I don't believe anybody from the 1972 Dolphins team is even alive as of right now. But that would be interesting if there's like an old man just like somehow doing something, or maybe even the ghost of the 1972 Dolphins team, just like creating fumbles, sacking the quarterback or something, just like randomly appearing. But I mean, that's possible. And then just like, I mean, maybe they have a curse on the league, and after they had one undefeated season, they couldn't let any other team be undefeated. And I mean, those are really only my theories for that specific topic. I really don't know. I haven't really seen anything online that like people were saying. So, I mean, those are just my theories around the topic. And now the next topic I'm going to be going over in the iceberg is that Adrian Peterson faked his ACL tear. Now, Adrian Peterson tore his ACL against the Washington, at the time, Redskins, I believe in the 2011 to 2012 season. And he was out for about 9 months, which is, I mean, in the area of a normal ACL tear rehabilitation time period. So when I first saw this, I thought Adrian Peterson may have just been like ahead of schedule by a month or so, but he was within the schedule. But here's where the theory actually comes in, is that Adrian Peterson started in the first game of the 2012 to 2013 season, and then he actually won MVP in the very next season. So he went from tearing his ACL in one season, the very next season coming back and then winning the MVP. That does raise some suspicion. I mean, Adrian Peterson was already a good player, and tearing the ACL, very bad. But I mean, tearing your ACL is pretty tough, especially as a running back, because you're getting hit below the knees most likely. If you're a guy that was built like Adrian Peterson, you're going to be hit at the knees, and it's going to be really hard to come back from. But he actually came back from it, and then on top of that, won an MVP. So I'm pretty sure that's why this was on the iceberg, is that Adrian Peterson won the MVP, a year after he just tore his ACL. Now this next topic is pretty interesting, that the Patriots Dynasty was a post 9/11 Psyop. Now a Psyop, the definition, Psyop, or a psychological operation, is to convey selected information and indicators to audiences to influence their emotions, motives, and objective reasoning, and ultimately the behavior of of governments, organizations, groups, and individuals. Now, I know you're probably wondering why does the Patriots have to do with 9/11? And I'll tell you why. Okay, this is my theory: is that Tom Brady, we all knew. I think he was drafted in 2001-ish, 2000, sometime around there. I don't really know. But he did not start his game until 2001 in week 2, which I don't know when the exact date of week 2 would be, but since the NFL usually starts in September, it had to have been the second week of September, shortly after 9/11. So, since Tom Brady started his first game after replacing Drew Bledsoe against the New York Jets, nonetheless, that's when the Patriots dynasty started. So now people are saying that, my theory, I guess, is that Tom Brady starting the Patriots dynasty with Bill Belichick is actually made by the government to make everybody forget about the tragedy. That's what I think is possibly a theory for that one, but that one's kind of hard to formulate. But kind of drawing the lines, Tom Brady starting in 2001, shortly after, most likely, and then football, one of the most watched sports in America. And then a tragedy happened, in America. Maybe, you could draw the lines there. I don't really know. But that's my theory about the Patriots dynasty being connected to 9/11. And next, a more lighthearted topic is that David Tyree's helmet was actually magnetic in Super Bowl 42. So I think basically everybody knows this one. If you at least watch the Super Bowl, you don't even have to watch you don't even have to watch football. If you just at least watch the Super Bowl, there's probably going to be one clip of David Tyree catching the football off his helmet in Super Bowl 42 against the Patriots. He's on the Giants. And this is probably one of the greatest catches in Super Bowl history. I mean, David Tyree wasn't even that good of a player. Like, nobody's like, oh yeah, David Tyree, one of the best wide receivers ever. No. David Tyree is only known for this one catch. And, it sent him pretty far places. He didn't really have that much of a successful NFL career as, stats go. But this one catch revolutionized, or just started off his career, basically. But the theory is that, David Tyree's helmet is magnetic. And a lot of people were saying this about DeAndre Hopkins' catch against the Bills, was that, his gloves were magnetic and the ball was magnetic, and then, he just, caught the ball because it was magnets and stuff. But this one, David Tyree, so basically a Giants player, I can't even find the quote now, but I saw a quote, or I guess off of a podcast, that a Giants teammate said that David Tyree could not catch a single pass in practice. But people have bad practices, go on cold streak. But then again, to not catch and then just have one amazing catch, kind of interesting. And maybe the NFL was sick of the Patriots winning, because I believe this was the year after the undefeated season, or the year of the undefeated season that the Patriots had, and maybe they were just tired of them winning, and they needed the Giants to win. And the Giants, that entire play though, Eli Manning, he's back there in the pocket, he's about to get sacked, and then somehow gets out of the sack, launches it deep to David Tyree, 50-50 ball, and then he catches it off his helmet. And I don't even know how the ball even stayed on the helmet. The helmet's circular. I feel like if you caught it and then you're being put to the ground, it's gonna slip it, but it didn't even hit the floor. He still had it, so that's probably another reason why people thought it was magnetic. But also another stat reason is that David Tyree had only caught 4 passes and 2 touchdowns the entire season. So he's not even a number 1 target of the Giants. He's just a wide receiver, a depth wide receiver. So, for him to go and catch this, pretty interesting. I can see how people can draw their conclusions as to if he did have a magnetic helmet, but I think, in my opinion, it's just a really good catch. So I don't really have, you can leave your theories down below about the magnetic helmet, but I think it was just a great catch by David Tyree. Now, the last topic regarding tier 4 of the iceberg is that Joe Buck has narcolepsy. Now, narcolepsy is a neurological condition that disturbs the sleep and wake cycles. And Joe Buck, everybody knows Joe Buck, the sports announcer. Mostly he's with Troy Aikman for Fox, but now he's with ESPN. But a lot of people know Joe Buck in the sports world. I think he did baseball as well as football. But the main reason why people say he has narcolepsy is that he has really bad calls sometimes. I don't even know how he could play. I probably can't play him on the podcast because then you can't really see what's going on. But most of them is you could see what's going on, and then he just says the complete opposite. I saw one clip where it was a kick return and he ran it all the way down to like the opposing side's 15, and then he said he went down at their own 25. Like, that's the opposite side of the field. And I can get how you can get to those conclusions, but there's some really bad calls that Joe Buck has that just doesn't make sense. And I mean, maybe he is just asleep on the job and then just comes back and then is like completely off. That's a possibility, but I think it's just he has bad calls. And I mean, he's still an entertaining announcer, but sometimes he just has like the worst calls of the worst. And that'll be all for today's Iceberg video. Next week I will be going to tier 5, and then next week I will be going into the last tier, tier 6, which looking at the bottom, it's gonna be really interesting. But I can't wait to do those 2 videos, and then move on from the iceberg and go into some more topics regarding the NFL and NBA. So if you enjoyed this, please give a like and subscribe, and also share to anybody that you think be interested in it, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.